I won't hesitate no more, no more. I'm so, oh man, I gotta start over again. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me today for the last episode of 16 Days of Strumming. I hope you enjoyed this series, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Katie. Welcome, thanks for being here. Today we're going to talk about how do you keep that strumming pattern going when you struggle to keep it consistent within a song or a piece that you're playing. So I tell this to my large group students as well as my individual students that when you're first strumming your first song from beginning to end, it seems like a marathon. I mean, most songs are about 3.5 minutes long, but it seems like the longest 3.5 minutes of your life. You think, oh my goodness, am I able to keep this up? Well, first of all, I want you to show yourself a lot of grace. Try to get as far as you can with the strumming pattern. So if you followed my 10 tips for strumming, that you're doing okay, you have the strumming pattern going before you even touch your strings, you have practiced just on one chord versus starting to switch on a bunch of chords, and now you're ready for your song, but you're still struggling, I would say when you're practicing, get as far as you can. And then after that, try to strive for just a little bit more, keeping that mental sharpness, that concentration going. So make little milestones for yourself. Maybe just like with a little pencil mark in your chord chart or your book, how far you want to push yourself. And then push just a little bit past that. So that's something that you can try to keep that strumming pattern consistent, because the more and more you do it, the more repetition you have, the easier it's going to be if you practice the right way. Because I think sometimes we think, all right, if I don't get this all the way through, I have failed. And that's kind of an all or nothing kind of mentality where you feel like, man, I should know this by now. Man, I should be able to do this. How come I can't do this? How come she can do that and I can't? And he can do that and I can't? It must be really nice to be them. Well, everybody started in the same place. And I tell this story to a lot of my students that when I first was singing and playing at the same time, the first song that I sang in church, it was awful. It was so bad. But I'm grateful for that experience. Now I am. Then I wasn't. That was the longest 3.5 minutes of my life. But I'm grateful that that happened because it really humbled me, one, to practice, but also looking back saying, wow, my expectations of myself were way too high. That I'd only been playing for 2 months on the guitar, and I should have taken some more time to just, play and practice and allow myself some grace, because I was comparing myself with other people that could already sing and play through a song and play their chord changes just effortlessly, when really I had to be realistic about where I was at the time. Now, segueing off of that, practicing the right way. I've talked about this in other videos. But sometimes what we do is that we start from the very beginning and we don't struggle with the very beginning. Maybe we struggle with some chord changes in the middle or the bridge or maybe in the chorus, and it's not at the very beginning. And then once we hit that struggle spot, then we stop, we start all over. It's that all or nothing mentality. We start over at the very beginning, and then we keep going. And then once we enter that one spot that still gives us trouble, it still gives you trouble. No. Start over again. All right, I've been there before. So practice, instead of from the very top to the bottom, practice the things that give you trouble first. And then break them down into smaller, manageable parts. Maybe it's a difficult chord progression. Maybe it's something that has to do with the rhythm. Really slow it down and break it down. So for example, in The Tide is High, the tide is high, but I'm holding on. And let's say I'm struggling between the jump between the C chord and the F. And it's just not as clean as I want it to be. I would break that down very, very slowly between the C and the F and figure out what is it that I'm doing or not doing that's causing me trouble. And I'd really break it down. So one, stop singing. If you're trying to sing on top of it, I think that's going to be frustrating, because if you don't have that strong established beat, just take that singing out so that you're just focusing on the strumming pattern. Or something that also helps too is that if you take your smartphone or if you have like a webcam, film yourself playing and practicing, and just try to figure out like, oh, okay, I'm not muting those strings in that particular area. That's why it doesn't sound clean when I have my little chucking muting effect, scratching, so to speak. So that's something that really helps a lot, and that's my reality just about every single day, because I edit footage of myself playing and I'm thinking, ooh, yeah, Katie, you're singing flat. Oh, Katie, that's sharp there, so you need to redo that. Or, the position of your hand could have been better. Editing right now. Critiquing yourself is not about beating yourself up, it's about making yourself better. You can drill that treble spot with a metronome. That's really important because you have an external beat that is keeping you accountable. So the part that has been giving you trouble, break that part down little by little and then add the other parts of the song. It's going to make things so much easier and less frustrating. Now, last but not least, it's perfection. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. And what I mean as this pertains to a strumming pattern is that, yes, you try to make it as consistent as you possibly can. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea. So I'm using down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. Okay? But what happens is sometimes when people lose their strumming pattern, and this happens to me too, so don't worry, this happens to me too, is that they stop and then they think they have to start over again. So that brings me back to the first point. But what I say is that keep the rhythm going as a subdivision as much as you possibly can. So here I have 16th notes as the smallest subdivision of the strumming pattern. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a down, a down, a down, a down, a down, a down. Sometimes if I lose myself in a rhythm and while I'm singing, because that happens, I just keep that subdivision going, that down, up, 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 along with the beat. And then once I feel myself in a comfortable spot, then I go back to that strumming pattern. So if it were like this, if you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever See how I just kept that down, up, down, up, down, up subdivision as much as I possibly could. And then when I found myself comfortable, boom, I jumped back into that strumming pattern. Now, you could stop in the middle of the song, and then as the beat keeps going, jump in, kind of like how with a jump rope, if you've ever had a jump rope or played with a jump rope where you wait for your timing and then boom, you jump in. Yeah, that could be a technique that you could use. But with this technique, what happens is that you're just keeping the rhythm, because what if it's just you that's leading a sing-along and there's nobody else playing with you? Or what if you're singing at an outdoor patio or a concert? You might be it. And so something that happens is that we think, all right, it has to be all or nothing. I have to have this strumming pattern or it's nothing. It's like, no, keeping the rhythm is more important, at least in my opinion. Keeping that rhythm consistent and anchoring yourself in that rhythm is more important. Perfection is nice, but it's not attainable. Sometimes when we are strumming a strumming pattern, we think we have to have this strumming pattern only. And when you learn more songs and you kind of learn how to jam and you get more comfortable with your style or just with playing in general, you start switching up your strumming pattern a little bit. It's not always consistent with the island strum. Some people, they start adding, other 16th notes and other 8th notes, more syncopation, more muting, things like that as you get comfortable. But I want to leave you with one final thought, and that is be here and not there. Focus on your progress and not on your perfection, because perfection, it does not exist. Okay? Take that pressure off of yourself, feeling like, oh, you should have this by now and you should be better by now. No. If this is supposed to be fun, Take that kind of mentality off of yourself. Take that pressure off of yourself. You're practicing, you're working on something, and the more you do it, the better you're going to be. Be intentional how you practice. Focus on different ways that you can practice rather than just thinking of the all or nothing mentality. It's like I either have it all or I don't. Start small, grow from there, and allow yourself that grace. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.